We're in Parashat Lech Lecha, and very interesting parasha. Finally, we get to read about Avraham Avinu, our hero, and really, as much as the parasha is a positive parasha, because we learn about Avraham Avinu, but the parasha is a very harsh parasha, because the whole parasha is just about the tests and the challenges that Avraham Avinu had. Not only Lech Lecha, also Vayera. These are two parashot that you see Avraham and Sara from one challenge to another challenge to another challenge to another challenge. And we think we have problems. But one thing that I want to talk about today is a topic that raises a lot of interest. We started talking about it before I went to the tour in America, because in America I gave a class about the power of our name and what does our name signifies, and what is the power of each letter in my name, and all that topic we started learning. We had already a few classes from the book of formation about the Sefer Yetzirah, about our name, what does it mean, the letters in our name, the energy, how it's connected to the Sfirot and so forth. And we're going to continue that. It's going to be probably a long course about the name, how a person can learn from their name, their characteristics, their tikkun, their past lives and so forth. But we see here in this parasha that this whole topic comes into effect, the changing of the name. Now, to many, changing of a name is not such a thing that you run to do. But nevertheless, this is where we see from the Torah that Avraham Avinu and Sara, they have challenges, things don't work out. What's the solution? Change your name. And Avraham and Sara, they're changing their name. They're just adding a letter. But nevertheless, we see here that there's a connection between the name of the person and the Mazal of the person. Now, Mazal, if you translate the word Mazal, is luck. So a lot of people think when you're saying Mazal, that it's my luck. That if I go tonight to Vegas, that if I have good luck, then I'll make money. This is not Mazal, what the Judaism is talking about. Rather, Mazal is the tool that Hashem gives you to be able to perform your life mission in this world. This is Mazal. And the reason why it's called Mazal, because it says in Hebrew, when something drips from above to below, it's called linzol, nazil, something that is dripping. So we have a certain bank of energy in the world above, and this energy, it penetrates into the world in the right amount, whatever I can handle. And this is the idea of Mazal. But nevertheless, we see from this parasha, when Avraham and Sara didn't have Mazal, they didn't have a kid, they went down to Mitzrayim, we'll go through the whole story. Then what did Hashem says? Change your name. So from Avraham, it became Avraham, and from Sarai, it became Sarah. And the main nisayon that we see in this parasha is that they didn't have kids. And Avraham and Sarai didn't have kids. Once they changed the letter to Avraham and Sarah, whoop, then they have kids. So this is a very interesting topic. If the Torah is talking about it, obviously there's something to it. Just not too long ago, a certain individual, when I was in the last trip in New York, I mentioned her a few times. She was diagnosed with cancer. They were asking me what to do. And one of the things happened to be, they came to the class of the changing of the name. So they added a name. They made a whole ceremony. They asked me how to do it, what they did, and they added a name. And you see that that's usually what people do when chas v'shalom somebody is in a state of emergency, of life-threatening situation. Then they add a name, or they change the name, or they add a letter to the name. I'm not talking about when something doesn't work out, that you burn your dinner, you go change the name. I'm saying about that something serious happens. But comes a big question, how changing the name will change my mazal? Why? Why would my changing of my name change the mazal? So first we have to understand again really what mazal is. Mazal again is not my luck. I come down to this world with a purpose, with a mission. And Hashem hires me and He tells me, here's the job description, this is what you need to do. Now I'm giving you your tools. I'm giving you the ability to pass this life and to fulfill your mission. This is the mazal, and it will be given to me according to my ability, to my spiritual and physical vessel, to my time in my life. Kind of equivalent that a rich father will give his son a lot of money, and he says, I'm not going to give you now the money. We'll put it in a trust fund. And whenever you need money for something, I will give you the money. You want to go to college? I'll pay for the tuition. You want to get married? I'll pay for the wedding. You want to buy a house? I'll pay for the house. And it's given to the person according to the timeline in his life and according to what he needs. So the Mazal is dripping from the world above according to how I conduct myself, how I behave, where I am in my life right now, and so forth. But we'll talk about the Mazal a little bit more as we go. First, we want to address the question, how changing the name affects my Mazal. Why would the changing of the name affect the Mazal? We learned, if you remember, we learned that before, in Elul, before Tishrei, that it says in the Talmud that there are 4 things that will rip the gzar din, so to say, of a person. If a person has a gzar din, a decree against them, then there will be 4 things that will actually rip this gzar din. The first one is shinui ma'asim, is changing your actions. The second one is called tze'aka. Tze'aka means pray. The third one is shinui Hashem, and the fourth one is charity, is to give charity. So we have fear, and this is not the order. The order in the Talmud is first charity, then prayer, then changing the name, and then changing their actions. These are the 4 things that the Talmud says that if chas v'shalom, that I did something, and there's going to be a decree against me, it's called the gzera, then I can rip it, like I rip the verdict. Now, it's even interesting because it's also brought down in halacha. You can find that. This is can be found in the portion of Shulchan Aruch that is called Yored De'ah in section Shin. Shin is 300. In chapter 35, it's brought down in halacha that the changing of the name will change the person's mazal. It's not like Kabbalistic. This is brought down in halacha. So what's the idea of changing the name? And not only changing the name, sometimes it's just adding a letter to a name. I mean, that's what we see now. Avram, we just added a hey, now he became Avraham. Sometimes one letter makes a huge difference. Now, here, for example, with Sarai and Avram, we see that there were 2 letters that were added and removed. There was a Yud, that Sarai had a Yud, and it was changed to a Hey, and Avram added a Hey. So we see already that there's something with the Yud and with the Hey. We'll talk about it later, but there's something obviously in these 2 letters. We'll talk about it also later after, but just there's an example. After Sarai, also Rivka was barren, and after that also Rachel was barren. And if you remember, Rachel later on, what did she do? She took a maidservant, Bilhah, in order to get pregnant. Not married, I said married, I meant pregnant. But nevertheless, we'll bring these examples as we go, but we want to focus on the Yud and on the Hey that's in the names that were changed. And how is that affecting us? When I was doing these lectures in the States now about the name, then it raised a lot of very interesting questions. And the main question that I got, especially being in North America, is what if I have a non-Jewish name and I don't have a Jewish name? How many people in the world, they're Jews, but they don't have a Jewish name? Mark, whatever, Elizabeth, whatever. I'm just throwing names. How many people don't have Jewish names? So it's extremely important, by the way, that a person that doesn't have a Jewish name to have a Jewish name. And a person that goes by, first of all, a lot of people, I'm not talking about that somebody's name is Yitzchak and they go by Isaac because for business it looks better. I'm talking about a person that was never born with a Jewish name. So a Jewish name, it's very important to have a Jewish name. Now, before we continue, we have to go a little bit about the background of the story. So we are acquainted with Avraham Avinu last week in Parashat Noach. Avraham is born, and Avraham is a perfect example for the story of a tzaddik veralo. A tzaddik that everything is bad. After all, you see this righteous man and everything doesn't work out. From the beginning of Lech Lecha till the end of Parashat Vayera, our sages say, Milech Lecha ad Lech Lecha, because Parashat Vayera ends also with Lech Lecha. From the beginning of the Parasha till the end of next Parasha, it's just challenge after challenge after challenge after test after challenge after test. And you would think that a tzaddik will have an easy life. So first of all, it comes to teach us that even a tzaddik, like Avraham Avinu, can have challenges. So much more so us. But nevertheless, how does the story start? That's how the parasha starts. Avraham Avinu lives in Haran, and he's the chief rabbi of Haran. He has a big center. He teaches Torah. He converts people. Anybody wants to convert, he converts them. The women go to Sarah. She converts them. They have meals. They have lectures. They have everything going on there. Now Hashem says, I want you to spread your wings. Now only Haran knows you. I want the whole world to know you. So I want you and your wife to pack your bags and leave Haran. Lech Lecha me'artzecha. Leave. I want you to go and spread the Torah all over the world. Okay, where do they go? They go where Hashem tells them. They go to Eretz Israel, which of course was then Canaan. And what happens there? Right away, a famine. The people there saying, what are you, a bad omen? You just came to our land and starts a famine. Get out of here. What does Avraham Avinu does? He says, okay, let's go to Mitzrayim. As they get to customs, to the border control, he didn't have a green card then. He's looking for the passports. And finally he says to Sarah, we're going to have an issue here. Because you're you pretty woman, and they're going to kill me and take you. So tell them you're my sister. And no need to go through the whole story, but that's what happens. They take Sarah to the king. Avraham Avinu, in the beginning, they arrested him. And finally, somehow, they get out of it and they come back to Canaan. Now, they come back to Canaan. Do you think the problem stopped? No kids. They're already old people and they don't have kids. Okay. So, what's the solution? Sarai understands that she can't have kids. So she does a bold move and she says, you know what? I'm going to bring a woman into the house, another woman, and I'm going to have my husband try to have a baby with her. And maybe by that, first of all, he will have at least a child, and it maybe because of that, that will change the Mazal, and I'll have a child. And she brings Hagar. Now what kind of a woman does such a thing? She doesn't get pregnant, so she brings another woman into the house? Rashi explains that why did she do such a thing? Midah keneged midah. Measure for measure. Rashi says, she said, Hashem will see that I'm willing to give up my space, my honor, my man, to bring another woman into the house that Avraham Avinu can have a child. Midah keneged midah. Hashem will see my effort and my mesirut nefesh, my self-sacrifice, and he will give me a child. Okay. So, they bring Hagar into the house. Avraham Avinu has a child, Ishmael, and he likes him. Even though the person became a terrorist, but Avraham Avinu likes him. He likes him, he loves him, it's his son. Okay, at this point, the Kadosh Baruch Hu says to Avraham Avinu, okay, no kids, change your name, you'll have a kid. But, Avraham Avinu doesn't understand, how can I have a kid? So, because Avraham Avinu was a very big Mekubal, he was able to look in the stars, he was able to see what's going on, and he says, I see in my Mazal that I don't have a kid. How can I have a kid? That's where Kadosh Baruch Hu told him, Avram doesn't have a kid, but Avraham has a child. And Sarai doesn't have a child, but Sarah has a child. Then they changed their name, and voila, they have a child. Baruch Hashem, Sisu v'simcho. Now what happens? The child grows a little bit, Yitzchak grows, and now the step-brother is taking him off the derech. One time, Sarah looks out the window, and she sees Ishmael and Yitzchak, they're playing. And Ishmael is teaching him all the bad stuff, how to hotwire cars, how to do all sorts of bad things. And Sarah's like, I don't need this menace, this terrorist influencing my child. So comes another test, and Sarah says to Avraham, kick her out. I don't want her here. Avraham says, listen, I know he's a little bit of a shovav, a little bit of a mischief, but it's my son. How can I kick him out of the house? I know he breaks into houses and he does all sorts of bad things. I know he's a little terrorist, but it's still my son. Don't ask me to kick him out of the house. Sarah says he's out of the house, him and the mother. And sure enough, there was another nisayon. We know that Avraham Avinu had 10 tests. That's one of the nisyonot. He had to kick his child out of the house, knowing that he's somewhere, he doesn't know where. And after that, the party's not over. Now again, now go sacrifice your son. Take your son, the one that I told you that he's going to become the inheritor, and now go and sacrifice him. So one event after another, event after event, Avraham Avinu is placed with tests. Comes a big question, what's the point of the tests? Why? Isn't a 1 or 2 or 3 tests enough? You done another test and another test, and each one is harder and harder. What's the point of the test? What is standing behind the idea of a test? Why is Hashem testing us? Now if He's testing Avraham Avinu, who are we? We are being tested 100 times a day. Why? What's the idea of the test, and why is Hashem testing me? So I'm going to tell you a story that will explain what I want to say. And this is a true story. This is not a parable for you to understand something. This is a true story. And there was a certain lady, and they were from Iran, from Persia. And I don't remember exactly the years. Don't take every detail here. I might be distorting the fine details here. But nevertheless, in the 60s and the 70s, the Jews were doing very well in Persia. They had a lot of money, they had status, they had respect from the community, and they were free. They would do whatever they want. So this lady, they lived in Iran, and they were very, very wealthy. And at some point the government changed, and I think it was with the revolution, with Khomeini. I don't remember all the details, it doesn't matter. But at some point the government changed, and all the Jews started to become a target. Now, they were very, very wealthy. And one day, she sees the driver of the husband running into the house, terrified, screaming, what happened? And the driver tells her, they killed him. They came to the factory and they killed your husband. They shot him dead, his body's on the floor, they murdered him. And that was the government. They were after the money, coming after everybody's money. Okay, so she figured out, this is not good news, they're coming after me now, they're going to come and take the money. She packed a little bag, put a few things in the bag, and took the children. She had little children, and she went out of town. And she understood, I have to run away. So they found somebody on the ground that takes you over the border. Okay, cost a certain amount of money. They had enough money, and they started the journey. And okay. As they started the journey, she was a young mother, she had young kids. The person that took her on the journey told her it's going to be a journey of 2-3 weeks. Very hard journey. 18 hours a day riding on a camel, in the mountains, in the valleys, in extreme heat. No food, no sleeping. And this is how people used to do it, by the way. My father's from Lebanon, and they had the same thing in the early 50s. They were in Beirut, and my family is Syrian. They moved from Syria to Beirut. That's where they placed their business in Lebanon in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 40s. Beirut was the capital for business. They were extremely, extremely wealthy there, and at some point they started closing down on them, and they had to make a move, and nobody could just get up and leave. They did the exact same thing. Middle of the night, riding on donkeys, for 3 weeks. My father was a little kid going on the mountains. You know what it is to cross from Lebanon to Israel? The terrain, he's not walking on a pathwalk. This is mountains, very hard mountains to walk through. Nevertheless, that's what people used to do. Okay, so the guide tells her before we even start, I'm telling you, this is going to be a 2-3 week journey, and we can't stop for 1 second. And my rule is very firm. Anybody that cannot make it, I shoot him on the spot. We cannot take them. I cannot stop the whole convoy because of one child. Anyone that will not be able to continue in the journey, I'm sorry to tell you, I shoot him on the spot and we bury them there. We cannot stay behind. Okay? They start the journey. And the journey starts. 18 hours a day sitting on a camel. And you barely eat, you can't go to the bathroom, you can't stop to the bathroom. You can't do anything. And this is with little kids. At some point, they had to cross a river, and they went through the river. So as they're going in the water, the shoes got so soaking wet, and this is said by the woman, I'm not inventing anything, this woman is giving a testimony. The shoes became so soaking wet from walking so many hours in the river that by the time they came out of the river, their shoes disintegrated. It's not like what we have now, good solid leather shoes. The shoes all broke down. Then they had to go through a field full of cactuses. So they were going on everything with the thorns and bleeding, and at some point one of the kids started crying. They couldn't make it anymore, and the guy turns around and pulls out his gun, and she's like, "We can't stop, I'm shooting her." And she's like, no. She picked up the daughter on her, and she was going in blood and tears and pain, and you have to hear the description of this story. But she was like, we have to make it, we have to make through this journey. Finally, after I think 2 or 3 weeks, they crossed the border into Turkey, and they survived. And the guide turns around to the woman and he tells her, "By the way, I'm Jewish too. And I just smuggle the Jews out." And the reason why I was so firm and so strong by telling you, if you're not going to make it, I'm going to shoot you, is because if I wouldn't say that, you wouldn't make it. If I wouldn't threaten you that I will shoot you or your kids and bury you in the way, you will never make it. So I'm sorry I was so harsh. I'm sorry that I had to use this tactic. But the fact that you had the fear that I'm going to kill you or one of your kids, you made it through this journey. So good luck on your journey. And they made it to Eretz Israel. And needless to say, they didn't have any money. But nevertheless, they had their life. Now, excuse me? Of course they paid for it. Yeah. In the beginning of the story, I said that the husband was murdered. They had a lot of money. She took whatever she could. They bribed the guide, and they made it. I mean, this is not one story. There's thousands of stories of that. Don't go too far. I'm telling you, my father, when he was 7 years old, that's what they did. They lived in Beirut. They should hear his testimony also. They had to walk only at night. During the day, they had to all lie on the ground, covered with sand and leaves, so nobody will spot them. This is going with little kids. Can you imagine my grandmother with 7 kids and sisters and brothers, and my grandfather got arrested on the border. Should bring once my father to tell the story. He was the one in the back, and he got arrested in the border, and he was in jail for 2 years. He couldn't cross. Then my father came to Israel till my grandfather got released. But nevertheless, yeah, of course they paid for it. They paid a lot of money. Every person you pay a lot of money. So, but nevertheless, the good story was they made it to Eretz Israel and everything was good. But what's the point of the story? Is Hashem is testing us because He wants to get the best out of us. By nature, we are very, very lazy. If I wouldn't have to do anything, I would be just sitting in bed all day long. But because I need to pay the rent, I need to get up. I need to pay for food, I need to get up and make money. If I would get a house and food delivered to my house, I probably wouldn't work. I would be going like this all day long. Right? So, what?
Or study.
Or study. I'm talking about the nature of humans is to be very, some people will take advantage of it and study all day long. Most people will just be couch potatoes. But we're lazy people. Very few people get motivated. So Hashem is pushing me to the extreme to get the best out of me. Now, the reason why we have so much difficulties in our life is because Hashem wants to make sure that I keep on moving, that I keep on pushing. Just imagine the guide. Every time somebody falls from the camel, the guide takes out the gun. No, I'm going to walk on the thorns. Just don't shoot me. So every time Hashem throws a challenge, Hashem says, you need to keep on moving. Keep on moving. Because if you don't, you're going to stand in one spot. Now, the difficulty, the challenge, forces me to do my maximum. And that's what Hashem really wants. Hashem says, what do you think? I brought you here to just sit all day long and lick your fingers from licking milk and honey? No, I need you to get your maximum. So, Bechlal, when you're looking at the word nisayon, if you translate it in English, it's a test. And Hashem doesn't test us, by the way. This is a misconception. You know why Hashem doesn't test us? Because He already knows the results. So what's the point of the test? We call it a test, and it's the wrong grammar, by the way. When you translate words in English, from Hebrew to English, it doesn't work. A test is a nisayon is not a test. Test in Hebrew is mivchan. So Hashem doesn't test us only for the fact that Hashem knows the result already. He knows everything. So what's the point of doing the test if He knows the result? The word nisayon in Hebrew comes from the root nes. Nes is not a miracle. Don't be confused. You know what the nes is? Nes is the pole, is the top of the pole where they hang the flag on. That's a nes. On the boat, there's one big pole that where they put the flag on. That's the top there. That's a nes. Where do we learn that? There are a few places in Tanakh that we learn about the word nes. And again, we take the word nes, we think it's a miracle. Yes, it's a miracle, but the root of the name nes is the top of the pole that everybody can see. Where do we see it clearly in the Torah? In the book of Bamidbar. Remember the situation, there was a plague, and Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, take a snake, a copper, and put it on the pole. What does he say? He says, Vayomer Hashem, saraf sim oto al nes, ויראו אותו כולם. Go to the book of Bamidbar, this is chapter 21, see what it says there and read the translation. And he says, take the snake and put it on the top, and he says, take the saraf is a snake, and put it on the nes, put it on the top, that everybody will see. So we see the Torah is telling us nes is not necessarily a miracle, rather nes is the top of the pole. We see it again also in the book of Yeshaya, chapter 30, in verse 17, and it says, Ad im notartem ketoren, till you were left as a toren is a big pole, al rosh hahar vekanes al hagivah, on the top of the mountain, and as a nes on the top of the hill. So there are verses in Tanakh that shows us that nes is the top of the hill, the top of the pole, the top of something that is all. Why? So everybody can see. That's a nes. So the nisayon here is that Hashem is elevating us to the top. Now with Avraham Avinu, why did Avraham Avinu have to go through so many nisyonot, so many challenges? So he will be our hero, our father. We look up to him. Wow, look how much challenges he went through, and he's my role model. But really the idea of a nes is something high, and Hashem is elevating us to the highest that we can reach. So, look at an athlete. An athlete wants to be successful. You know how hard they have to work? You know how much training, how much effort? Once I saw a movie how Mike Tyson, a very great boxer, how he trains. So, and you think he's sitting there and eating Twinkies? He's sweating, and the trainer is punching him and kicking him, and he's running and jumping and push-ups, and the trainer is screaming at him. So you want to get the best, you want to be the best, it comes with a lot of sweat. So Hashem is pushing us and pushing us and pushing us to get the best out of me.
Is that what we inherited, the potential?
Yeah, 100%. We inherited Maaseh, you're right, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim. The action of the fathers is a sign for me. We are kids of Avraham Avinu. We inherited the power that any challenge that Hashem will put in front of me, I have the potential of overcoming it. Now I just have to be pushed and inspired to go and do it. Now, let's go back to what we were talking about before, about the Nisim. There is a book. The book is called Sefer Ha'ikarim. I don't know how to translate it in English. This is written by Rabbi Yosef Albo, about 500 years ago. It's called Sefer Ha'ikarim. He says there, I don't know, maybe to translate maybe the Book of Maine, I don't know. The what? Principle. I'm sure there's some type of explanation in English. I don't know, I never found a translation or a name, but it's called Sefer Ha'ikarim, written by a very famous rabbi, Rabbi Yosef Albo. He says there that nisayon, a challenge, is a habit. It's like a habit. What does it mean, a habit? When I have a habit, I do it very good. Right? Now, what does the Talmud says? En chacham kebal nisayon. The real wise person is a person that has a lot of nisayon, is a lot of what's the word? No, chas v'shalom, not chutzpah. That has a lot of knowledge. No, nisayon is No, I have the word right on my tongue.
It's like a muscle.
Not a muscle. Yeah, but
But
how do you say it? Let's say a person has a lawyer. He's in the field for 40 years. He has a lot of experience. Sorry. So habit is you have experience in something. When you have a certain habit that you do every day, I'll give you an example. Most people, they pray every day. They're already because the words are already stuck in their mouth. When you prayed the first time, you read every word. Baruch, Ata, right? Now when you pray for the first time, thank you. The first few times that I prayed, it took me 3 hours to go through it. Vayomar. So now you go fast. This is kind of like a habit. It's same. It can be with anything. It can be with the knitting. Can be with the building. Nisayon is in Hebrew is a test, but nisayon is also experience. En chacham kebal nisayon. Who's smart? A person who has a lot of experience. When you do something very well, go now to a dentist that just graduated. The other one, he's already doing it for 30 years. He's doing it with his eyes closed. So Rabbi Yosef Albo says that nisayon is kind of like a habit, and Hashem is giving us all these tests over and over and over. Why? So we should have experience. Experience in dealing with this thing, with this problem. And just the other day we were talking to one of the guys here, all know him, doesn't need to mention names, and he said, I have the same test over and over and I always fail. So what's the point here? And I told him, because you're gaining experience. You fail once, you fail twice, you fail 3 times. After you will fail 100 times, will come the real test, then you'll have experience. Then you'll win. You'll have the power. Because you failed so many times. You cannot win without failing. If you're going even to the area of sports, in order to be a winner, you have to fail many times. In order to know what does it mean to be a failure, what it means to lose, then you know how to become a winner. Same thing here. The Kadosh Baruch Hu gives us another challenge, and another challenge, and another challenge to give us experience. Okay, so now we covered the idea of the challenges.
So the nisayon, the real one, is at the end of the. So how do you call the steps?
The steps is the training process.
But in Hebrew.
Everything is a nisayon. I have to understand that this is just so we should sidetrack for a second about the nisyonot. I have to understand that the nisayon is not if I win or lose. That's how I conduct the fight. That's what Hashem is looking at. If I will win or lose, that is in the hand of Hashem. Akol bidei shamayim. Everything is in the hands of Hashem. Will decide if I will pass the test or not. That's why I told you Hashem is not testing us, taking the word in Hebrew mivchan, because He knows the result. So, excuse me? Tikkun, that's a whole different thing. We're talking about a nisayon. Nisayon is a challenge, a test. So, the thing is that when I have a nisayon, it's not if I win or lose. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. It's how you put the fight. If you had the right attitude. I'll give you an example. Sometimes you're tested with something. And when you fail, you know what you do? You curse. You get angry. You break things. You hurt other people. You don't show up to the minyan. You get upset. Then you fail the test. Not because you lost the test itself, because of your reaction. Now sometimes you lose the test, but you have a good attitude and no, next time I'll do it. You still have a smile on your face. As the test is going on, you pray to Hashem, you have bitachon, you have faith, you're smiling, you have a good attitude. It all depends how you behave during the test. It doesn't matter the result of the test. What matters is the process and your effort, and mainly your effort. How much hishtadlut you put in there. Whether you win or lose, that's in the hands of Hashem. So, but this is about nisyonot. We want to go back to the letters, not to the nisyonot. We want to understand how can changing the name or adding a letter, in the case of Sarah and Avraham, remove the challenges from Avraham Avinu and Sarah. Why? Because after they changed the names, kind of everything was good. From about the year 100 of Avraham Avinu till the end, we didn't hear about any more challenges. That's it. Stopped. So we kind of understand here, oh, wait a minute, Avraham got a hay, Sarah got a hay, removed the yud, challenges, everything was stopped, and they kind of had a normal life. So maybe I should change my name every Monday and Tuesday. No? I will be called Alona. But nevertheless, what's the idea of the changing of the name and changing the Mazal? How and why? So let's go a little bit to the Rishonim and see what they say. Rambam, for example, doesn't agree with this whole thing at all. Rambam says, I don't agree with the whole changing of the name. It's not referring to changing the name from Moshe to Yaakov or from Sarai to Sarah. Rather, he says the changing of the name is when you change your behavior to such an extent that your name by default gets changed, because in the beginning you were Shimon the robber, now you're Shimon the tzaddik. So your actions are so changed that your name is already changed in a way that you are being referred to completely different. So 20 years ago, then somebody will call me Alon the cheat, Alon the thief, Alon the bully. Now they call me Alon the rabbi, or Alon the whatever. Can't say anything about myself. But the point is that Rambam says you change your actions, you're not called anymore a certain way, you're called in a different way. So you suddenly called Dr. So-and-so, or whatever it is. This is what Rambam says, that you don't actually change the name, you have to change your actions. Then don't go now every Monday and Tuesday and everything that happens is just changing your name. Change your actions. That's why the Talmud, going back to what we said before, the last of all four is change your actions. Don't pretend. And Rambam says if you change your actions, you become a different person. From becoming an angry person, you become a calm person. From being a stingy person, you become a Baal Chesed, a giver. So your so to say your title changes. This is what Rambam says. Another explanation is given by Haran. Haran is Rabbeinu Nissim, a very big commentary on the Talmud, on the Mishnah and Oral Torah. He says it's kind of in the middle. Don't be so extreme like Rambam. Changing on the name is as a result of changing my name, then my actions will be changed. So if my name was, I don't know what, I'm not going to give examples, but my name was so-and-so, and now I changed my name to a more profound name. I know an individual that his name was a very not Jewish name, and he made tshuva, and he took on himself a Jewish name. So according to the Ran, you change the name to something a little bit more holy, then by default your actions become much, much better. Okay, so this is the explanation. What the Ran says, as I said before, once you were just a David, now you David Chaim. So you added another name, more energy, different behavior, and you see that many times. How many times people are Baal Tshuva, they are called Richard, suddenly they change, they become a Baal Tshuva, and they become a Rachamim. Oh, now he's a total different person. Before the Tshuva, she was Jennifer, now she's I don't know what, Sarah, pitom the behavior is completely different. So according to the Ran, you change the name, by default, your behavior starts changing, because you hold already a name of a Yaakov or Sarah and so forth. Okay. According to that, we see that the changing of the name also changes my actions. When a person changes the name, it changes the actions, but also it changes the Mazal. Now, why would it change the Mazal? How does all this work with changing the Mazal? Now comes a bigger question, because we just saw both from the Rambam and the Ran that you have to change your actions. But when Hashem told Avraham to change the name and Sarai to change the name, He didn't tell them to change actions. He just told them, add a letter. Change a letter and add a letter. He didn't tell them, oh, by the way, I also want you to add these actions. I want you to open your midrasha 3 more hours a day. He just told them to change names. He didn't tell them to change actions. He just told them, I want Sarai to add a hey, move the yud and add a hey, and Avraham to add a hey. So how that works well with what we just understood from Rambam and the Ran. And not only that, what is the idea behind the changing of the name? So we have to understand something about the nature of a name to understand it. There is a story in the Talmud. I told that story already a few times. It can be found in the tractate Yoma, and it's talking about 3 great sages, Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Yossi. and they had to go and fundraise. Believe it or not, even 2,500 years ago, the rabbis had to fundraise. It's not only in this generation. Even then, the great rabbis, all three great sages, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda, and Rabbi Meir, they go out and they fundraise. The story says that they actually not only necessarily fundraised for their institutes, rather at the time there was a lot of problems with the Romans, with the government, and the people used to get arrested. They would go to fund a lot of money to do pidyon shvuim, to get the prisoners out. The story says, the short version of it, because I told the story several times, they fundraised a lot of money, and on the way back home, they had to stop in a hotel, and they had a lot of money. It was Shabbat. Now, what are you going to do with the money? The money is muktzeh. So they came to the clerk of the hotel, and they told him, do you have a safe here? Yeah, of course. Can you keep our money? No problem. So Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi, they give them the clerk the money, and he locks it up. Rabbi Meir comes to the clerk and tells him, what's your name? And he says, my name is Kidor. Rabbi Meir says, thank you very much, give me back my money, I'm not giving you the money. And the story says that he went out of town, he found a cemetery, he digged up a hole, he buried the money in a cemetery. He says, nobody will look for money in a cemetery. Motzei Shabbat comes, Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi come to the clerk, tell them, give us back the money. The clerk says, what money? He says, what do you mean what money? We just gave you a lot of money before Shabbat. Give us back the money. The clerk says, no, sorry, wrong one, you didn't give me anything. Are you out of your mind? We gave you a lot of money. Give us back the money. He's like, no, not me. I didn't give anything. You didn't give me any money. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Yossi go to Rabbi Meir and says, how did you know not to give him the money? He robbed us. Now we don't have proof. Rabbi Meir says, very simple. I asked him his name. And he told me his name is Kidor. So they says, so what if the name is Kidor? So Rabbi Meir says, well, don't you know? There's a verse in the Torah, in the book of Bamidbar, and it says, Kidor ta'apuchot hema, banim lo emun bam. And he says, I took the name has a connotation. What does the verse says? Kidor ta'apuchot hema. This is a generation, it's very quick to switch. One time you smile, one time you hate. Banim lo emun bam. The boys, the men, the children of this generation, there's no trust in them. So he said, his name is Kidor. I didn't trust him. So we understand that the name of the person says a lot about the person. And we started the course where I was explaining a lot that the name is given to us way before we're born. Our name is a stamp that is on the soul. If you take the word soul in Hebrew, you write it neshama. Take the nun away and take the hey away, you're left in the middle with two letters, shin and mem, shem. So the name is the DNA of my soul. The Arizal says that the parents get a glimpse of prophecy, whether they feel it or not, and they look at the child and they name the child. That's how it's extremely important not to have people interfering in naming a child, because this neshama already is radiating the characteristics, the nature, and the name is attached to the soul already. Now the teachings of Kabbalah explains that the name is a pipe, so to say. We call it tzinor shel shefa. It's a pipe. Through that pipe, an abundance of energy can go down from the world above to the world below. This is the way how Hashem is communicating with us. Like I told you in the beginning, there's a trust fund in the world above. This is where our Mazal is, and has to be a way, a channel, how the Mazal will start coming into the world, and that is through the name. Now, if you're looking at it in a very lower level, let's put it this way, we'll explain a lower level of the name and a more mystical part of it. The lower level of the name, a name is a business card. Sometimes you meet somebody in a dinner, in an event. What do? Here's my business card, I do so and so. I'm a banker, I'm an investor, I'm a lawyer, whatever it is. Adam HaRishon, if you remember, we should be fresh in our mind. We just read that 2 weeks ago. Not even. Adam HaRishon named everything. Adam HaRishon sat on a chair. Hashem brought everything to Adam HaRishon. Adam HaRishon looked at whatever it was, an animal, a fruit, or whatever it is, and he named it. Why? Because Adam HaRishon was able to look at the animal, see the characteristics of the animal, and give the name according to the characteristics. Adam HaRishon had a very high level Ruach HaKodesh, and he was able to see the spiritual structure of the soul. There is a beautiful explanation. We're not going to go through it because it's long, but it's brought by Rabbeinu Bechayei, how he brings every animal, how the name of the animal is the nature and the characteristics of the animal. And he says, for example, a donkey. A donkey in Hebrew is chamor. Chamor A donkey is a slow animal, it's a lazy animal, it's heavy, it's not smart. This is chomer, this is material. So it's called chamor. Same thing with a sus, a horse. Sus, the same thing, Adam HaRishon looked at the horse is jumping and this is happy, sas v'sameach, he's jumping, so he's a sus. So, and he goes, Rabbeinu Bechei goes one after the other. For example, now we read with Noach about the crow. Crows why are they called orev? In Hebrew it's called orev, because it's dark. What is dark that we know of? Vayi erev, vayi boker. Erev is dark, so he's called orev because he's dark. And then he goes like this over and over. You know, a dog is kelev. Why? Kulolev, it's just a heart. A dog is just love. It doesn't give him a bone. He'll lick you all day long. Chatul is a cat. Why is it called chatul? Shu mechatel et tzoato. It's the only animal that covers their droppings, their excrement. Modesty. But chatul comes from the word chitul. Chitul is like a diaper. Mechatel et tzoato. He covers his excrement. No other animal does that. Nevertheless, Rabbeinu Bechayei goes one after the other, not only with animals, with everything. How you see the nature. Why is Adam called Adam? Because he came from the Adamah. He came from the ground. Not only that, he resembles the world, the man above. Adameh le'elyon. Chava, why her name was Chava? Her name was, first of all, was Chaya. But she was Em Kol Chai, the mother, the first mother of everything. Everything in the Jewish words, in the Hebrew words, have a meaning to it. So, another thing, and this is in a very superficial way to look at the name. The name represents, now of course will come a big question. So all the Davids are the same, all the Moshe are the same. No, Moshes are there. That doesn't make sense. Now, you know where you see it most? You go to a certain group, and all the boys and the girls are called by the name of the leader of the group. So in Chabad, everybody's Menachem Mendel. In Breslev, everybody's Nachman. In Satmer, everybody's Yoel. In the Litaim, everybody's Chaim. Why? Because the rabbi, that's how he's called. So it means now all the Menachem Mendels in Chabad are the same thing? All the Nachmanim from Breslev are the same thing? No. Why? Because the name you have, I don't know how you say it really in English. I couldn't find the right word. In Hebrew, say netiya, is what you're drawn to. You have, wow? Tendons. I couldn't find really the right word, but nevertheless, the name, you can take the quality of the name and you can use it for different things. So, for example, you can have in your name the power of leadership. So you can become a leader of a congregation in a very positive way. You can become also a leader of the robbers and the head of the mafia. So David, for example, that David has a very strong quality for leadership. So you can become a prime minister and you can become the head of the mafia or head of a gang or whatever it is. So you can take the quality of the name and to use it to different places. This is what it says in Hebrew, netiyah. You take a tree now, you can push the tree this way, you can push the tree that way, you can push the tree, wherever you push the tree, that's how it will grow. So you can take now almost any characteristics and use it to positive and to negative and to different types of positives and different types of negative. So it doesn't mean all the Davids will be the same and all the Moshe will be the same, but nevertheless, the name is kind of the business card of the person and will tell you more or less about the individual. But we want to go one step ahead of that, what the teachings of Kabbalah explains. The name is not only the description of the actual person, the nature of the person, rather the name is the channel. Through that channel will come the energy from above that will determine who will be the person. So the name is a very, very profound part of designing me. Now, how does that really work? How does the name becomes the channel that through that channel the real me manifests into this world? So every name is built from letters. There's no name that is not built from letters. We have 22 letters. If you remember, when we started the course about the names and the letters, I asked a tricky question and everybody failed. How many letters do we have in the alphabet? 22, right? 22? Wrong. We don't have 22. We have now 27 because we have 5 letters that are called mansapach. Mem Nun, right? Samech, Chaf, and Pei. The Otiyot Sofiyot. So we have already 27. But we know based on Sefer Yetzirah that there was another letter. The letter is called Da'at. And when Adam HaRishon sinned, that letter fell off the alphabet. So we're missing a letter. Just imagine how much things will be more clearer when we get another letter. But we have in the Jewish alphabet 28 letters. One is gone now, we're left with 27, not 22, because we have 5 letters, Mem, Nun, Samech, Pei, and Chaf, that you have a beginning, a middle one, and an end one. Okay. Every letter is a certain energy, is a channel of an abundance, and every letter has a certain energy. Now, if you have just Aleph, it's one energy. You have Bet, it's a different energy. Put the Aleph and Bet together, it gives a completely different energy. Now switch the order between, write it first, Aleph and Bet, it's one energy. Switch it around, write it Bet, Aleph, total different energy. We just learned that in the month of Cheshvan last week. We said the name of the month is Mar Cheshvan. Mar means bitter. Take the word Mar, switch the letters around. From Mar it becomes Ram. Ram is high and exalted. So you can take something bitter and to turn it into something great. So every letter is a certain energy, and where do we see the energy? By the shape of the letter. Bezrat Hashem, very soon the course of the letters will go online, at least the lectures that I gave in America, where I give the foundation, the preparation of the course, and then the classes that we have here will continue. But I explained that the letters have 3 types of channels, so to say. The shape of the letter, how you pronounce the letter, and the numerical value of the letter. So Aleph has a A, Bet is a Ba. Doesn't matter right now if it's a A or O, but it's a A. There's no other letter that sounds A. Even one can argue, say Ein. Well, Ein is a A, no A. So that's why you have to pronounce the words, the right word, the letters, the right word. But nevertheless, there are a few letters that will sound the same, like Kaf and Kuf. But if you pronounce it the right way, the real way, you'll see it's also different. But nevertheless, you have the sound of the letter, you have the shape of the letter, and you have the numerical value of the letter. So if we concentrate just on the shape of the letter show you how the energy runs in the letter. Take the Aleph, for example. Aleph, the energy of Aleph is connection. It's called in Hebrew chibur. The energy, this is the energy of the letter. Why? If you look at the Aleph, you have a line on the slanted line, you have a Yud on the top, a Yud on the bottom, and the line is connecting them. We know that the Yud on the top represents Hashem, the Yud on the bottom is representing us, humans, and the line is the Torah. That's the connector that is connecting the 2 parts together. So you see the energy of the Aleph is connecting. Bet, for example, the energy is stability. The Bet has a very strong base, and it's shaped like a house. Even a Bet, that's how we say house in Hebrew, bait. Gimel, for example, it has an energy of giving. Gomel dalim is giving. Why do we see the Gimel? Because in the Gimel has a chupchik on the bottom that it goes out. So Gimel has an energy of giving. Daled is receiving because it has an opening on the back. But anyways, it's not the time to do a class now about every letter, how the energy is. But we see the shape of the letter will show us the energy of the letter. Now if you have just one letter, this is one type of energy. But now put in a letter, in one word, 4 or 5 letters, then the energy gets a completely different structure. So that's how we see that the words in Hebrew, especially names, they will have a completely different energy. We just learned now, it should be fresh in your mind. Last week we learned about the month of Cheshvan. I mentioned that the tribe that is associated with the month is Menashe. And how many words did we take out of the combination of Mem, Nun, Shin, and Hey? Menashe is the name. His uniqueness, he was secondary, Mishneh. Then we said that he has the power of Neshama, Nun, same letters. That he used to praise Hashem all the time. And we took all these 4 letters and switched the order all the time. You get so many different meanings. And that's where you see with how the letters affecting the name. Now, if you concentrate on the 2 letters that we are focusing on, which is a Yud and a Hey, because Sarai had a Yud, the Yud was removed and she got a Hey, and Avraham got a Hey. Yud is a very small letter. This is called Ot Nikud, a letter of punctuation. because Yud usually will change the word and you can remove the Yud and have a punctuation, and you don't need the Yud with a E or O or Yi. So Yud is called Ot Nikud, a very small letter. In the Kabbalistic term to it, this is a male letter. Hey, for example, is a very large letter. The Hey, it's representing fertility. I hope I'm saying it the right word. In Hebrew, it's called Pirion. And fertility means the force, the power of development. So a woman that is fertile, she can receive a sperm and develop a child. So Hey has the power of fertility and development. What is called in Hebrew hitrachvut, widening, broadening. And Hey is a female letter. Now, if you're looking at Sarai, you have the Shin, the Sin, and the Reish, and she had a Yud, she had a male letter. So her energy was a male energy, so she couldn't get pregnant. When it was first changed to Sarah, the Yud was removed, the male energy was removed, the female energy came, then it became Sarah, then she was able to become fertile and to start developing. And same thing with Avraham. Avraham only had Avram. He was only the chief rabbi of Haran. Once he got the Hey, he was the chief rabbi of the world. He became gazillionaire in money, became extremely wealthy, and he was known all over the world. Everybody came to Avraham Avinu to learn Torah. So where do we see again this addition of the Hey? Right after Sarai, that was barren, Sarah wasn't barren anymore. Once she was Sarah, right away a child. She was able to bring a child to the world. The next one in line was Rivka. Rivka was also barren. She had a Hey, but nevertheless, later on, she got pregnant. But who do we see down the line that didn't have a Hey and was also barren? Rachel. Rachel didn't have a Hey, and she couldn't get pregnant. Leah got pregnant. Zilpah got pregnant. Now what did Rachel do? Rachel said, I can get pregnant. I don't have a Hey, and I will never have a Hey. I'm going to change it to Rachela. So what did Rachel do? She brought Bilhah. Bilhah is written with two Heys. So she says, I will bring her. What did she says? Ulai ibane mimena. That's what the verse says. If I take her, maybe I will get pregnant because of her. So she took Bilhah as a maidservant. So Bilhah got pregnant right away. And Rachel took the Hey of Bilhah. She didn't add it to the name. She just used that Hey, and she was able to get pregnant. So we see that every letter is a channel of energy. So to conclude, because the topic is very, very broad, especially everybody, you start telling them now your names, everybody's like, oh, so what does my name mean? Yeah. You know, when we advertised the tour, before I went to the States, and the main lecture of the tour was the name, I think we got like 5,000 emails. My name is Moshe, what does it mean? It means Moshe. What are you going to start now interpreting every little thing? We offered during the tour private sessions to do a name reading. And it was really on the surface, 20 minutes, chick-chack, just to give an analysis of the name. But so many people, my name is so-and-so, what does it mean? It's more complex. You have to see each letter, what's the energy of the letter, where it's placed in the name. You can have an aleph in the beginning of the name, an aleph at the end of the name, and so forth. If you remember, before I left, we did already 5 or 6 classes. We started going through it. And then we're going to continue, because it's very, very special, very, very important, because if I know my essence, my nature, my characteristics, my goal in this world, the name can tell you also a lot about your previous life. If you remember, in one of the classes that we did, I explained what the first letter of the name says, the second letter of the name, the third letter of the name, the fourth letter of the name. What does it say? And it can tell you a lot about your previous life, about your purpose in this world. But nevertheless, what's the bottom line? What's the conclusion? First of all, we have to understand that every letter of my name has a certain energy. And yes, in some situations we do add a letter or add a name. When a person is extremely, extremely sick, something's going completely wrong. This is not something you do every day. It's not every day you change your name. Rather, once in a lifetime, if a person is extremely sick or something goes on, then you add a name or you change the name or you add a letter. But nevertheless, the conclusion is that my name is very powerful, and every letter in my name holds a certain energy in it. So what we want to take from this whole story in the Torah is two things. First is regarding the nisyonot, the challenges. That Hashem is testing me, and we have to stop saying the word testing me. Hashem is not testing me, Hashem is elevating me. Every time I have a challenge, Hashem is just elevating me. He's elevating me higher and higher and giving me more experience and more experience and more experience. More than that, if we want to take the approach of the changing of the name, let's go back to the Talmud, what it said. The first thing, if a person has a problem, a gzar din, a decree against, first of all, you give charity, you pray. Third in line was changing the name, and the last one was changing your actions. So we don't run to change the name right away. Rather, we will take the approach of the Rambam, of Maimonides, change your actions. Don't run away to a lot of people looking for shortcuts. Not too long ago, somebody texts me, tells me I have this and this problem. I want to donate a certain amount of money, and in that merit, then this problem should disappear. I said, listen, that's very nice of you, but how about you just start observing Shabbat? It will cost you much less. And I can, with my hand on my heart, can guarantee to you that will work much better than you donating that amount of money. You want to donate it? Great. I will accept the donation. But how about you just observe Shabbat? I wanted to tell him, how about you stop cheating on your wife? I think the problem will disappear very fast. So the point is that we have a lot of challenges in our life. Don't run for shortcuts. Shortcuts that never work. A lot of people tell me, what's the remedy for that? The remedy, just to learn Torah. Don't look for remedies. Don't look for shortcuts and briberies, and that doesn't work like this with Hashem. And a lot of people say, what's the remedy to do this and that? What's the remedy? Don't stop looking for remedies. Just learn Torah, follow the mitzvot, do what the Torah tells you. That's your power. So Hashem is telling us, yes, the name is a powerful source of energy. It is a powerful source of controlling your luck. And if somebody, chas v'shalom, amash, the luck is, you see, the person is, everything doesn't work out, then you want to consult with the right authority if to add a letter to your name, or to change the name, or to add a name. Talking to a person that already in their 50s and one problem after the other, like a Job. Then you're saying, okay, maybe I should change the name. But instead of running to change the name, what I like to conclude from that is change your actions. Is your actions affect the mazal, how it comes into this world. If I have a pipe that delivers water into my house and the pipe becomes clogged, the water will come in a very thin stream. Or chas v'shalom on the way out, on the drainage. If it's clogged, it's not going to go through. My actions will cause this tzino, this pipe of shefa, to either be open or to be clogged. If I do bad actions, I do sins, I lie, I cheat, whatever, I slander, I start clogging this pipe where the shefa is coming down. So I have a problem with it. Parasha is not so well, relationships are not so well. Here I have a lawsuit, here the city's after me, his guy's after me, this is good person is doing this and that. This is enough to tell you, wait a minute, maybe my actions are not kosher. The reason why we take in that direction, Avraham Avinu didn't have a problem with his actions. So we see with Avraham Avinu it was strictly the name. To teach us that yes, the name has a big meaning. And you do want to go to your name and to analyze your name. That's why you're going to go and continue the learning what we're going to do here with the course about the names. That you can say, oh, I know the purpose in my life. I know my characteristics. Where I need to put, if I have a lot of chesed in my name, then the chesed should be moved to the right direction. The word that I use in Hebrew is lintot, is to lean, so to say. So take all this chesed and lean it to a positive thing, not to a negative thing. I know people that they're so caring and charitable that all they care about is saving, I don't know, some monkey in Africa. Take all this chesed and save human beings and do it something normal. Don't take all your time to save some this extinction species. So we have to know a lot about my name and how it feeds my energy, but this is a different topic. I like taking from that when I see things don't go so well, look at your actions. And your actions will change the nature, how the luck, how the mazal, shouldn't even say the word luck, how the mazal, how the energy comes into my world. That's why the Talmud says, Ba'al Adam Yisurim, a person accepts hardship, Yefashpesh b'ma'asav, look in your action. Maybe you did something. You get a ticket, don't curse the officer that gave you the ticket. That's what most people do. They give him curses, Hashem Yerachem. All the diseases in the world he receives on that point. Why are you cursing the officer that gives you the ticket? Think, wait a minute, what did I do? Maybe I stole money. Maybe I owe somebody money. Maybe I did gezel with money. Maybe I did something wrong with money that I'm being notified with a ticket, something with money. So, chas v'shalom, something bad happens, look in your actions, maybe I'm doing something wrong. If you find that you didn't do anything wrong and you are a complete tzaddik, then you go to plan B. But I am sure that each and every one of us can find something that I did wrong, and Hashem is just telling me, warning light. Because the way it works in the world is very bouncy. You throw something at the world, it will throw it back right at you. So this is what we want to take from that really Hashem is not testing us. Rather, Hashem wants to elevate us. He wants to bring us into a state of that I'm already professional, that I know how to fight these challenges. And more than that, so I should be aware constantly of my actions. Most people are not aware of their actions. They say things, they hurt other people's feelings, they behave a certain way, they don't understand that their behavior, their actions, their words, they're hurting other people, they're affecting other people. So I have to be aware of my actions. When I'm aware of my actions, I'm able to open a greater, broadened channel to bring this abundance into my life. Mazal Hashem should take all these beautiful examples and stories into our life to be able to apply it and to always have a smile on my face. You know how the challenge disappears very fast? When you have a smile on your face during the challenge. Usually during the challenge you curse, you swear, you kick, you break, you say lashon hara, all these bad things because the challenge is hard. But if you have a smile on your face and you thank Hashem, you see suddenly the challenge disappears. That's why our sages say that we have to accept the Yesurim b'simcha v'ahava, accept it with love and happiness. So we're able to do that. I can assure you that life will get a little bit better. Our luck will be shining on us better. Things will work a little bit better. Less problems, less sadness, less arguments and disagreements. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're able to open the channel of our abundance, that we should be blessed with an abundance of health and happiness and success and parnasah and kids and yirat shamayim and everything. And Hashem should only bless us all with an abundance of good.